God damn, I need IPA.
This is Beering Ain't Easy, your podcast for beer humor, dad humor, and beer tastings from Texas and beyond. So crack one if you got one and turn it up.
Welcome to Beering Ain't Easy, Season 2, Episode 26, with Ryan and Drew.
Welcome back, y'all. We've got another awesome episode today. I got to kick this one over to Ryan because Ryan's been like giddy excited about this episode for weeks. It's like his brainchild. Ryan, you want to give the listeners like a little bit of a taste about why you're so jacked up tonight?
I have thoughts about things sometimes, and every once in a while I kind of hold them back, but not tonight. I have some thoughts that I have to share with the listeners, and Drew, I hope you do too.
We're like jacked up on Mountain Dew tonight. So the episode title is called Hot Takes and Unpopular Opinions. So Ryan and I are going to tell you things that we feel passionately about, good or bad, in the beer industry, and we're going to debate the validity of it with each other.
And Drew, I hope you're not coming with the fluff, because I'm going to challenge your thoughts, and you better be able to back it up.
Oh, you know my opinions are rock solid with logic, just like everything we do on this podcast.
Backed by logic.
Yes. So one of the new kids on the block hit the beer scene on the packaged beers, and Ryan and I snagged a few of those. You want to tell the listeners what we're drinking tonight?
Yeah, friend of the show, Bad Astronaut. Some of you may have started seeing their cans pop up around town. We picked some up. We're both currently enjoying Cloud Punch. It's their German-style pills.
Yeah, this is my second time drinking this one. Actually, like the first couple sips I had on it, I actually went straight to Instagram and posted about it because this is a damn good Pilsner. So I'm excited to go back for beer number 2.
Yeah, it really is. I'm part way through mine as well, and I'm already at that kind of inflection point where it's like, do I save these for later, or do I kind of want to have another one? But I'm gonna see how I feel a few minutes into this episode, and I'll make that call later.
Nice. I feel like this is one of those beers while you're drinking it, you're already thinking about drinking the next one when you sip into it. It's just got that come back for more flavor to it. Love it.
Yeah, that's right where I'm at. But I'm like, I don't want to go through I only bought a few. I don't want to go through them all tonight. I kind of want to make these last because it's delicious.
Oh, you must have been paying singles prices then.
I was, yeah.
Well done, Rocky.
For sure.
Before we come in hot on beer topics, I got like one non-beer related thing I got to bring up. So I saw this article. I thought it was worth a miniature discussion here. And the article said that they just did a study. It's been well known in the past that women's brains change when they have kids, but there was a new study that came out that said that men's brains actually shrink after childbirth. So 1 to 2% brain loss. How do you feel about that, Ryan? Do you feel like you're not quite as sharp as you used to be?
So I wasn't sure if it was the copious amounts of beer that I tend to drink on weekends, or if it was childbirth. And apparently I'm learning that having children is maybe more of the reason than the beer.
I like it. It's like a valid excuse. I'm sorry that I, fucked a few things up. I have 3 kids. I mean, is it a multiplication problem here? Is it like a 3 times 2? We got 6% brain loss. It sure feels like it some days.
So you have older kids than I do, obviously. I've like stand-up comedians start making jokes about their kids and new math and like the different they teach math now. Is that really a thing?
It's absolutely a thing. It's like some of their math problems, I'll start doing it and showing my daughter how to do addition and subtraction the way that I always learned, where, you carry the 1 over and shit like that. And they're like, no, that's not how we're supposed to do this problem. And then you're like, well, you almost want to just throw the book down and be like, well, fuck this, I'm out of here. But I was pleased to learn. I went to open house for my 4th grader yesterday, and she started doing math problems on the whiteboard, and she was doing long subtraction where she was carrying the ones, and I was like, okay, all is right in the world. So I don't think the old ways have been forgotten. I think they just try to give kids multiple options to see which one they identify with the best.
all inclusive. I actually understand that, because I remember like distinctly, like in elementary school, when we were learning to do our multiplication, and there was like 3 different ways to multiply by 9. And there was like a way where kids counted on their fingers, and I forgot there was one other way. And then there was the way I used to do it, which is a decidedly weird way.
And that's obviously the way that you chose, right?
For sure. It worked for me, and that's all that matters.
Bless your heart. All right, so we got to get back to the beer. So I don't even know the right way to kick this off. So I feel like someone just got to come in hot, Ryan. I mean, what are you coming in with, man?
So I'm going to come in for a soft landing here. I'm not going to go like, off the top rope right away, but I'm going to come in with something that's on brand for me. So maybe that gives you a hint of where I'm about to go with this.
I have
keg urinals.
Yes.
Keg urinals are awful. They're so gimmicky. Like maybe the first time I saw one, I was like, oh my God, this is like an amazing idea. This is incredible. But they are the worst urinals in the world to use. Sorry to the women listeners out there, but I feel like every guy can feel me on this one.
So you're talking about the urinals that look like a keg that's like cut out that you could pee in it. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, they cut out like a quarter or third of the keg and mount it on the wall, and you just like pee directly into it.
I don't know why you find that so offensive. Does it really matter where you pee?
The angles are so harsh. The splashing's terrible. It's a mess. It's a mess.
This is what grinds Ryan's gears. It had to be bathroom etiquette. There's no other way you could start this episode.
Yeah, I mean, like, how do you even clean something like that? Like, I don't know. It just seems it's bizarre to me. I don't get it.
It just like most kegs, it's just nicely aged in there, I guess.
All right. Well, there's my start.
All right. That's a good start. I'm going to come in with a positive on the beer industry, but maybe controversial here. I've been like, this is one that I love the topic on. So like one of the most polarizing breweries in the U.S., state of Texas, is Martin House. They make pickle beers. They make nacho cheese beers, like hot dog beers. I mean, you name it. They've made some weird shit. But I'm here to tell you that the beer industry is better because of Martin House. And I'm going to stand behind that.
Okay. So give me further context here. What about what they do you think is a positive contribution to the beer industry?
All right. I've got a bulleted list in my head here. So number one, they may make some wacky ass beers that maybe you only want to drink a couple sips of just to taste it. And I'd probably put like 7 out of 10 of their beers in that category for me. But it's the fact that they're pushing those boundaries that no one else is willing to push. It's like people keep coming back for more. It's like, yeah, it's gimmicky, but it's fun. And like sometimes breweries can get too serious about their craft, and they're not serious at all. They're like, I don't give a fuck what you think about my beer. I'm going to make it anyway. And I think that is hilarious, and I love it.
All right. You know what? I've already softened on this. I'm with you on that. I think a lot of people take craft beer way too seriously. And the whole point is, yes, it's supposed to be kind of like the punk rock, like, hey, like, let's just do some cool stuff as long as it's good, like whatever.
And they have like one of the most active social media accounts out there in the beer industry, and they like making fun of themselves. So, I mean, we're men of humor here, and I can respect that.
We've known to be self-deprecating every now and then.
Yeah, every episode.
I see where you're coming from. I can't buy fully in, but I'll allow it. How about that?
That'll do, pig.
All right, I'll tone it back. We'll chill it out for a second. I just have a gripe with the name of a certain style, which I have I think I've talked about on the podcast previously, but the term cream ale, it just really rubs the wrong way. Like, I have cream in my coffee, but like naming a beer cream ale just like gives me these weird like it's a mental block for me that it's like putting like dairy or something in your beer. Just like I can't do it. And it's such a light, easy drinking beer, and there's nothing offensive about it. Just the fact that it's named cream ale is just like, it's hard, man.
So I have lots of questions. So you're going in for a sip of a cream ale. Like, what is it that you're visualizing that's turning you off so much?
I don't know. It's just the thought. I think the very first time I tried a cream ale, it was like really flat, and I've always known it never had any kind of like cream or dairy or anything in it, but it was kind of flat, and I think I just like was already thinking about the name cream ale, and I think it just like kind of broke me a little bit. I'm going to be honest.
So I'm going to name things that have cream in it, and you're going to tell me if you have a negative trigger or not. So cookies and cream.
Delicious.
Okay. So it's not the word cream that's the problem.
No, it's not the name cream, because like milk and cookies go together. So like cookies and cream, that's perfect. That's perfect.
It's just
Same
when you
thing
add
like cream
ale on
cheese.
the end. Okay.
I think I just visualized like adding a little bit of milk to your beer. Like,
okay.
I mean, come on.
So it's the lactose aversion here.
And I don't even mind lactose beers. Maybe that's why they don't call them cream beers.
Yeah.
Or I guess I think it's cream ale, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm not saying it makes sense. All right. That's the same thing. I don't mind the taste of mushrooms, but I cannot wrap my head around the fact that it's like a fungus and you're eating a fungus. Like, yeah, it's a similar thing to that. That's kind of the equivalent in the food world.
This is kind of like a little bit of a delve into the mind of Ryan, the psychology of Ryan.
Yeah, this is less hot takes, more confessional.
My therapist has been helping me through the cream ale issue for months.
All right, that one was a little weird, but I promise I'll get back on track later. True. What do you got?
All right. Since you're a little bit on the grind my gears theme here, I'll throw one in just because there's a few of those things in the beer industry. So I know they've kind of fallen out of favor a little bit, but like getting a growler fill, I guess you could probably apply this to a crowler fill too, is that I feel like 8 times out of 10, if I order a crowler or a growler, even if I only wait a day, it tastes too flat for me to enjoy it like I was just drinking out of the tap. And so my hot take is the art of pour has been lost. People do not know how to fucking fill a crowler or a growler. And when you find it, it's like amazing that they did a good job. But I feel like there should be a procedure involved here. Maybe we should have some quality control on these pours. What do you think?
There is a procedure. It's called like Cicerone level 1 certification. And like all that is like how to pour a beer, basically. But I feel like the turnover in like the service industry in general, like at breweries and stuff. But yeah, you're right. I think the art has been lost. And I think it's just kind of like a thing where it's like, yeah, we don't know how long these people are going to be here. So maybe that just kind of like became like the mantra of like, hey, just pour the beer, whatever. Also, it's like when growlers were really popular, I'm sure there was a lot more training on how to do it properly. Like growlers used to be like a deal, but then once people started charging like $24, all of a sudden it's not like a good deal anymore. You could just like buy it from the store for cheaper. Whereas I feel like when growlers first came on the scene, people were selling them, like $20 instead of 24. You get like a little bit of a discount on it. And I feel like as that went away, the growler fad kind of died with it. I don't know if that was like causal or if that was just like kind of a coincidence, but I don't know. That's kind of how I remember that whole trend dying.
It is pretty rare to see the growler price on the big beer board.
Yeah.
So I've got an interesting question here. So you mentioned cream ales as a style of beer, but is there any beer or beer style that is widely recognized as a fantastic beer or a fantastic brewery, or like people really respect it, but you just don't like it? is there anything out there that falls in that category for you?
So the one style I'll say, and I won't say it's not like widely accepted as great or anything, but I see it pretty frequently, is nitro beers. Nitro beers is kind of this niche thing that, I don't know, people see it and are like, ooh, it's on nitro. I've never liked nitro. I enjoy the carbonation. So when it's like flat, I get the like added like creaminess, like mouth. There's creaminess. I'm saying I like it in this one. I get the added mouthfeel, and like it's almost adds like sweetness to it. But like I really appreciate carbonation in a beer, and I think that just kills the whole experience for me. So, and the fact that it's like it's warm and it's not like cold. I like it being cool. Even if it's like a stout, I like it to be like kind of refreshing and enjoyable. So I'd rather have it regular than nitro. Any beer basically. But I feel like you were asking me that question in preparation for you dropping a bomb. So let's hear what you got to say.
I've got one, and this opinion, someone may just turn the podcast off after this opinion because it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but it's a specific beer that I've tried to make myself my whole life, because everyone talks about how it's one of the OGs. It's one of the greatest beers out there. I do not like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Boom. I don't know what it is, man. Like, I like some piney, resinous beers, but like, I feel like I'm drinking tree sap when I'm drinking that beer, and I just can't get behind it. It's like there's nothing about it that appeals to me, and I don't know why so many people love it. But I try so hard, and I realize that it's probably because I've got a redneck palate over here. But I'm speaking my piece here. That's fighting words, huh?
I can't go there with you, man. Sorry.
Like I said, listeners, stay tuned. All our hot takes aren't terrible.
You're on an island with this one.
Oh man.
So here's my completely unresearched opinion on this, but obviously Sierra Nevada was one of the OG craft breweries in the United States, and at that time, the hop selection was basically you were limited to noble hops from Europe, which is a lot earthier, kind of like pinier. Basically, obviously, the flavor profile of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. So they're brewing those beers with those kind of hops. I mean, that's all they had. Like now, obviously, the hop selection has exploded. Like every year, there's so many new experimental hops, and they've gotten tropical and juicier like every single year. But at the time, that was all you could do. And so obviously they stuck with their formula because that's what made them big. They can't go changing your classic. And I associate it with like an ESB because they use obviously all those noble hops.
But I think I actually think I like ESBs more than I like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. So that's what's so weird about it.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm trying to rationalize your mindset, but I'm absolutely not trying to defend it. I'm sorry.
Like I said, it's an unpopular opinion. Someone's out there with me. Send me a shout out if you feel the same way.
I'll say when I first started experimenting with craft beer, like senior year of college, trying to be like sophisticated, I probably hated Sierra Nevada Pale, but that's because I had never had an actually hoppy beer, and it was probably pretty damn jarring. But I'd say after that, I came around, which apparently you did not. With that, I need to walk away for a second and regroup. AKA
crack another beer. Yeah,
I finished this beer and I need to go get another one because it was so good. I saw this one, Stone Cloud Neon Sunshine. Stone Cloud's from Oklahoma City, so I was like, that's weird. It's down here. And apparently I'm on well, I was drinking German beers, and this one's Belgian, but Belgian style wit. So
nice.
Wheat ale spiced with tangerine zest and coriander.
I thought from a hot take standpoint, I thought you weren't much of a Belgian beer drinker, so I guess a Belgian wit's a little bit safer territory for you.
Yeah, not
a little less cloves.
Yeah, a Belgian wit is not a double or a triple.
Yeah,
I guess it's my Huh? I don't really know where to go from here.
I threw you off with my my wonderful insights.
I feel like maybe you should have saved that for the very end of the episode because now it feels just derailed completely.
Oh, don't worry. I just came up with one towards the end too.
No matter what I come with after that, it's going to sound irrelevant. So I'm going to go with my most irrelevant one.
Yes.
After that. All right. Those can-shaped glasses, they're like kind of shaped like a can without the top on it. Those are the absolute worst drinking glasses to drink out of. Even worse than like solo cups or like I would drink out of a kid's sippy cup before I drank out of one of those can-shaped glasses.
What's so wrong with those can-shaped glasses? Like what is it that irritates you so much?
The backside of the rim, when I go to take a glass, hits me like right on the point of my nose. It's just perfectly sized. So the only way to drink it is to tip back like you're drinking a can. But when you're drinking out of glass, you don't want to do that every single time. It just is irrationally irritating.
I've noticed that you haven't had a lot of positive hot takes here. I think this is probably like maybe a therapy session for you to get some of these things off your chest.
I'm venting a lot. Actually, my last two hot takes that which I'm tipping my hand. I only have two more.
Oh.
But they're both semi-related and they're both I would consider them positive, but I don't know if everybody will.
Slightly less negative. Well, I'll take us to a positive road here. So I'm going to make a bold statement here. Can art. If you put something that's from the 1990s, maybe cartoon characters, just stolen IP, I'm going to rate it 0.25 higher on Untappd. And I can't stop myself. I'm sorry. I see those cans and I just feel this like warmth in my heart from my childhood. And it's beer tastes better. It's a fault of mine.
So, I agree with you, first of all, but I will challenge you. Do you think there's anybody that doesn't like those kind of can art?
I think there's some people that see it and they just think gimmick. And they're like, you know what? I want my beer to taste good. I don't care about the fucking packaging. And so they're probably offended by those flashy cans, but it's eye candy. I'm sucked in immediately.
I think you're right, actually. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, like the brew masters that are like, oh yeah, I apprenticed in Germany and I'm trained in the classical styles and I want people to appreciate the beer, not the packaging that it's in. So I think you're right. There are some pretentious beer people out there that probably hate it.
Well, I mean, like, I'll just use an example. So did you ever go to Brash and get their beer that was called beer? And it was just like the light beer and it was just beer. That's what it was called. It was in a
beer period.
Yeah, it was just beer. So I kind of think about that. You know, there's no frills. So.
Didn't they originally try to call that piss beer, but then dropped the piss part and just called it beer? Or am I making that up?
You're probably, I mean, that sounds like something Brash would do. I mean, I feel like we've talked about Brash a lot, but there's been a lot of churn. We got sidetracked here, but I saw that they're going to be opening up Brashland hopefully sometime first quarter 2023. But their social media manager looks to have changed hands because it's a little milder than it used to be on their updates. And I did notice we have to have a moment of silence here because I noticed that they're going to have to retire the name of the beer Pussy Wagon for good. So it's been a good ride. The beer's not going away, but the name is.
Yeah, completely unsurprising. I know a lot of the places that I used to go around the Heights that had it on tap, they didn't even put it up Pussy Wagon. They did P-Wagon, so it's just P-Wagon.
The first time I ever ordered that at a bar, I actually said Pussy Wagon, and the bartender was like, "Wow, I can't believe you actually said that." like everybody came in and would like dance around it. I'll have this one. I'll have the number 5 beer. So I was like, well, I didn't know I was such a, bold trendsetter here, but calling it like
you're so aggressive, Drew.
Which follows up with the hot take of tap rooms without ACs are overrated.
I have talked about this on this very podcast before when we were talking about, making it in a recession, and we talked about what the city kind of lacks. And that was what I said was big tap rooms with AC. There's just not that many of them.
Houston, man, you need that extra cooling.
I'm ready to drop my first positive take here.
Oh,
Positive-ish take.
with air quotes.
I'm sure a lot of people will get very pissed off about this. I don't think there's anything wrong with craft breweries selling out to big competitors, aka Anheuser-Busch, or anybody else like that. I've said this before. You start a business to make money. Yes, you love craft beer. You want to give back to your community, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, you need to be making some money. You need to make a living, provide for your family. Some of these big companies, they come and make you these like offers you can't refuse. Like, I understand it's like musicians selling out and stuff. Like, people are going to be mad about it, but you can't blame them for taking a buyout and providing for their family.
Are you giving Karbach a hall pass here?
Yeah, I am actually. And here's the follow-up that maybe is more of an open window to disagree with, because I like won't listen to anybody that says they like someone offers you like, here's $100 million. You'd be like, no, man, I'm good. Like, come on. I won't buy it that anybody actually thinks that they would turn that away. My other take related to this is once you sell out, like, I don't have any issues with continuing to buy that product if you think it's still if you think the flavors still hold up and the quality is still there. I have no issues. Like, since you brought up Karbach, like Love Street, I still think Love Street's good. I will happily drink Love Street. If I'm at like a baseball game and there's a stand right there that's selling Love Street, I'm like, yeah, I'll get a Love Street. I have zero issues with that.
So are you saying that if someone came and offered you gobs of money to sell out the Beer Easy podcast, you would do it in a second? Is that what I'm hearing? You're not going to keep it real? The people want to hear the real news and you're just going to sell out to the big companies?
I would change your name from Drew to brother-in-law. And then next time he texted me, I'd be like, oh yeah, you that guy that I did that thing with that one time? Yes, I'm out.
I'm rich, bitch.
New phone, who dis?
I see how it is. You enjoy that Love Street, son.
I mean, would you turn it away, Drew? Come on. I mean, this is your baby. Let's be real.
Ryan, some people have a strict moral code that they live by, and I wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. Just add another zero to it. And now we're talking.
You'll send me the link to do the recording and I'll click on it. It'll come up and all of a sudden it'll be some dude in a suit. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm your new host. Like, what? Who are you?
All right, I'm going to take us on a journey here. This may be a little more long-winded, but I think we need to get into the topic of when does beer taste the best and when does it taste the worst? And I'm going to start it out with the worst because it's something that I've mentioned on the podcast that is a very popular thing for some people, but I think drinking a beer in a shower is the shittiest way to drink a beer, and shower beers suck. And I'm just going to throw that out on the table because some people are really fond of them, and I just think that my beer tastes a lot worse in the shower. But I'm going to counter that in a minute with where I think it tastes the best. So what do you think about shower beers?
I have questions first. How long would you say your showers are?
I probably spend a good 10 minutes in the shower.
Yeah, my showers are relatively short. I'm sure it goes longer than like 5 minutes, but I can't say much longer. Say like 6 or 7 minutes. Yeah, trying to drink a beer during that like is pretty disruptive to my routine, and it's kind of annoying. So I'm not saying they're the worst. I don't prefer them. I'd rather just shower real quick and then get out and then get a beer. I think that's a cleaner way to do it. So I agree it's not ideal. I'm not going to reject it. There is something about drinking like a cold beer when you have like hot water hitting you. It's kind of nice. I see why people do it, but I don't like it just because I'm very routine oriented in the shower.
Okay. So if the shower beer, I'm not hearing that that's your favorite way to drink beer, but when does beer taste the best? So like when you have the same beer and that sip tastes better in this situation than it would in any other situation, where does it hit the best?
I don't know. I'm still in negative town over here. I'm thinking of all the times that I don't actually like drinking beers when it seems like everybody else does.
Oh, well, hey, just get it out, man. Do tell.
I think post mowing the lawn beers, I do not like actually.
Wow.
When I'm done, I tend to sweat a lot. So no matter, even if it's like kind of mild temperatures, when I finish mowing, I'm like all sweaty. I chug like 2 full like glasses of water, and I'm so hot, and I just want to like hop in the shower and rinse off. Like the last thing I actually want to do is drink a beer at that point.
I can't meet you there. I do usually like to hit like a Gatorade or something after working in the yard, but I don't know, something about like having a good sweat and then hitting the ice cold beer. It needs to be a crispy boy though. It can't be like a hazy or anything like that, but you gotta have like a nice crisp beer. It's just, it's like the Olympics, man. In the Olympics, you go to Olympic Village and athletes are like hammering beers afterwards because it's like a substitute for Gatorade. It's got electrolytes. It's a drink of champions. So I don't know that I can meet you there.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Yeah, it's like they give marathon runners, like at the end of races, they'll give them beer and stuff. It's a good recovery. And I will say, after I take like a cold shower and I just stop sweating so much, that I will go get a beer. I like it at that point. I just need to cool down a little bit. So is there a time when you like drinking a beer when other people maybe wouldn't like it as much?
I don't know, like days that end in Y? I don't know.
That's a hard question. There's a lot of people that like drinking anytime.
Yeah. So I don't know that it would be one that I'd like differentiate myself from other people not liking it, but there's times where like I feel like beer just tastes better. And I think one of them is like if you're going to an event or something like that, or your beer festival, like that first one, you're so jacked up and excited that like there's an event behind it. So it's like it's almost like vacation. It's like vacation beers, it just there's something else with it, and it like brings the experience together. So like that's always a no-brainer, a good beer.
I have one that I thought of while you were talking, and this is not like one that I particularly enjoy. I wouldn't say this is like a favorite beer at all, but before I had kids, I would fly a lot. I would like fly around. I'd be at airports a lot, and people like airport beers. But for some reason, if I found out a flight got delayed, I would like, if I got a beer after a flight got delayed, for some reason, that beer was so satisfying. I'd be like, well, I'm stuck here for a while. This is happening. And for some reason, that beer is very satisfying.
That's awesome.
I guess it's just like you're accepting what's happening, getting worked up about it, and just being like, I'm here and I'm going to enjoy this beer. And that's what I would do.
Like that makes me think like of other things, like when like all your coworkers are working somewhere and you're off of work, and or you take work off early and you're day drinking and you're like, I should be at work, but I'm enjoying this beer. That's also a damn good beer.
I think you might have cracked the code. I think this is a very underrated best beer.
Yeah.
Because you see, like people have lists about like best, and now it'll be those things like like the after you yard work beer and like shower beers. But I think the having a beer when all of your coworkers are working beer, that's a very underrated beer.
Yes. Love it.
See, I can be positive.
Oh man. But to take us down from that high, one beer. So working in the manufacturing industry, there's times where there's large events where you have to work lots of days in a row, or you may have to work a night shift, or multiple night shifts in a row. And I did like a long stint doing a night shift where I was working like 60 nights, and I had days off every so often, but everyone was like, dude, the best beer is if you're working night shift and you wake up and the sun's rising and you're drinking a beer when the sun's rising. I never got into those beers because I looked at that sun and I was like freaking exhausted, and I'm like drinking by myself because my family's still asleep, and I just feel like depressing drinking that beer, trying to watch that sunset. I was like, it just wasn't for me. I was like, dude, let me go to bed and I'll get an extra like 30 minutes of sleep here.
Yeah, I understand that. I kind of related to that in my industry, the oil and gas industry, is that is definitely like a thing. Like if you go offshore and you spend some time offshore, and obviously there's no alcohol or anything, and they come back in, usually I'll try to like travel all the way home that day without stopping or anything. But if you do, I mean, even if you do that, if you travel home or if you end up staying in a hotel, yeah, that first beer when you get back on shore is fantastic.
Nice.
Like makes you feel like a human again. So that's a good beer right there.
Nice. I like this theme we're going for here.
So I'll transition this right into my last a little bit more controversial take.
Ooh.
About enjoyable times to drink a beer is like sporting outside in the heat or any like really event in the heat. I actually very much enjoy a macro beer, especially the ones that come in like the metal cans and they're like right off the ice and they're the coldest thing that you've ever drank in your life. I find those very enjoyable.
I can't believe you would say that on this craft beer podcast. Rabble. I'm okay with those too. I mean, there's a time and a place for ice cold beer. I mean, I've said this when it came to frosty mugs. There's a time and a place for ice cold beer, and ballparks are typically the place for that.
Yeah, and actually, to piggyback off of that, we keep like Michelob Ultra in our fridge all the time. I like to keep everybody happy. So, not everyone's a craft beer drinker, so I keep stuff for them. But when it gets later into the night and I'm like, oh yeah, like I want one more, but I don't want to like feel like absolute shit tomorrow. So I have a soft landing and I get myself a Michelob Ultra and I'll drink one of those as my last night. And it has helped my next day hangovers tremendously. I highly recommend it.
Yeah. As your brain shrinks as a dad, so does your tolerance for alcohol. So sometimes you got to hit those light beers at the end of the night if you want to be able to watch your kid without being angry in the morning. I
mean, it's a classic dad mantra, but you can stay up as late as you want, but the kid gets up at the same time.
All right, Ryan, if you don't have any more hot takes, I think that means we got to close out the episode. So thanks, listeners, for listening to us. This is a psychologically safe environment on the Beer Ain't Easy podcast. And so thanks for letting us unload what grinds our gears, our passions about the beer industry. If you're in this industry, there's certain things that keep you going and certain things that bring you down. And we're here to tell you ours. So I hope that our opinions were the cream of the crop for you. What do you say, Ryan? I'm going to close us out. Keyword, cream.
Thank you. I missed that the first time.
All right, Ryan, you want to close this out?
I guess so, man. I'm kind of spent right now, a little emotionally drained. So I guess I just got to tell our listeners, if you see Drew pouring himself a Martin House beer out of a growler into his can-shaped glass, and you see me sitting next to him drinking my Nitro Domestics, we promise it's not a cry for help. Just give Drew a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and I think we'll be all right. I don't know, man. Maybe we need to turn this into like a magic podcast or something. I'm spent.
Counseling by Beer Ain't Easy.
This has been a Beering Ain't Easy production out of Houston, Texas. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook or at our website at crossthestreamsmedia.com, where you can find our podcast and all the other great sister podcasts on our network.
Cross the streams media.
This has been a Cross the Streams Media Podcast.